hello, good morning, depending on where you are listening and viewing my show called Get Celebritized. I'm your host, Aurea McGarry, and I am so excited tonight to introduce you to not only a 24-time Emmy Award-winning journalist, but a dear friend of mine, the former president of the Southeast Emmy Awards, and he is so humble at all the accolades he has achieved in his life, but he agreed to come here with me today on my show to talk to you about what it took to get to where he is today, what struggles he might have encountered, what got him through, and to give you all hope that you can do your dreams too. And nothing is too big or too hard for you, because if you keep at it and you never give up, anything is possible. So without any further ado, my very special guest today is Jeremy Campbell. Jeremy, like I said, is a National Emmy Award-winning journalist and 23-time Regional Emmy Award winner. Through his years of field of expertise as a reporter, his work has helped change lives, change laws, and reached millions of viewers. In 2020, he left Atlanta to our dismay, but he joined the leadership team in New York City at NY1 as managing director of editorial. Jeremy oversees the reporting staff and managing editors. The team is focused on crafting character-driven stories that make a difference in America's largest media market. As a news director at WBIR in Knoxville, he led a team of more than 60 journalists through 10 hours of live coverage a day. That is no small feat for sure. He focused on content, innovation, growing a more inclusive workplace, and delivering coverage that engages viewers, all while keeping crews safe during the start of the coronavirus. Under his leadership, the station was honored with its first Murrow Award for digital coverage and its first National Gracie Award. Well, let me bring Jeremy Campbell up to the stage. Jeremy, welcome to Get Celebritized.
Aurea, hi. It's so good to see you. It's been too long.
It has. You're coming straight in from your, I guess, desk in New York City. Is that correct?
Live from New York, right to you. Yes, yes.
I always want to have my own show that says live from New York. It's Get Celebritized. Jeremy, how are you loving it in New York? I know we were so sad to lose you here in Atlanta. You were such a staple here, and the president of our Emmy Awards here as well, and did such a great job. And then you got one promotion, I guess it was a promotion up to Knoxville, and then you went on even further to New York City. Tell us, was that the dream to get to New York eventually?
You know, it was the dream that I had sort of thought passed me by. We have things that, we start out in our careers and we think, oh yeah, I want to be, at one point my dream was I want to be a reporter in Atlanta, and everything was working toward that, and I was able to achieve that. And then sometimes there's dreams that are just a little bigger than maybe we dream for ourselves. But yeah, the opportunities came, and I followed them. Leaving Atlanta was a really tough thing to do because of all the wonderful people like yourself who were there. And, really, I had some of the best friends and did some of the best work that I've done while in that city. But, we go with the opportunity and appreciate what's in the rear view, but look, straight ahead down the road. And things have been great. It's been a awesome opportunity here. And, New York City is a pretty great place to live. You might have heard that.
Yeah, born and raised there. I love it. I miss it. But I live vicariously through your posts. I hope everybody watches and follows you like on Instagram and Facebook, because you do post some beautiful pictures of New York City. You've got a great eye.
One of my favorite things to do is just, like after work, wander around and snap some photos of whatever catches my eye. So many wonderful things. So that's one of my favorite hobbies.
I love that. You got a great eye for that beauty and a great eye for great stories. So we're talking about you moving around and I always thought that, I love TV, but I'd never thought to ever want to be a journalist, because I thought, well, you'll never sit still. You'll always have to keep it, kind of like the military. So first, before we get into that, did you always wanted to be a reporter? And did you always know that would be part of your course? Like, as a reporter, do you always have to kind of pick up and go where the next thing takes you?
I knew from a young age, thanks to my grandmother. When I was still in high school, she said, I want you to be a TV reporter. That's what I think you should do. And, she and I would watch the evening news together, Peter Jennings. And she said, if you get to do that job, you can be on the front lines to history. You can travel the world. You can see it all. And that stuck with me. But I was a bit reluctant to get there. I grew up in a small town, Langston, Alabama, population 202. When I say small town, it was a small town, tiny little town.
Oh my God.
And when I graduated college, I was ready to get to a city. And when you start as a reporter, especially at the time, it involves, often going to a smaller city, a smaller TV market and working your way up. And I resisted that. I wasn't quite ready to do that. So I was fortunate enough to get some jobs working behind the scenes in TV, and ended up moving to New Orleans, fell in love with the city. And my first job there was as a barista. I moved there with, maybe if I was lucky, $50 in my pocket and a job at the coffee shop, and just really soaked up the culture of the city there, all the while dreaming of making documentary films, dreaming of telling stories that would have an impact and make a difference. I truly believed from the start that's the power of what we do. And it was Hurricane Katrina that really changed the trajectory of my career and my life. When it hit the city, when it hit New Orleans, that's when I couldn't put off that dream any longer. I was watching it all unfold on TV, and I wanted to be in the thick of it. I wanted to be reporting on the city that I knew and loved. And so from that moment, I declared now is the time, and grabbed my little camcorder that I'd been making independent documentaries on, started telling the stories of the city immediately following the storm. And within a few months, I repurposed that into my first TV reel, even though it had never been on TV. I told some of those stories as a reporter would, sent the tape out, and that's what led to my very first job as a reporter in Lafayette, Louisiana, just down the road from New Orleans, where I could cover hurricane recovery for the next year.
Jeremy, oh my gosh, I hope everybody's hearing this hope. So I'm going to recap a little bit, because you went from your grandmother seeing something in you, says, I think you'd be good at that, to going to school, getting your education, then working as a barista, and then feeling that calling that this is what you wanted to do. And from there, long story short, 24 Emmys later. So I really want the listeners and viewers to hear that if something's calling inside you and you feel led, that like when Hurricane Katrina came and you just had that pull that you want to get in there and you want to be the one to share these stories. I feel that's our calling. We know we have it. Too many people resist. I couldn't do that, or I'm not good enough, or I don't have enough of this. Do you feel that you ever felt like, that, well, I can't, or why me, or I'm not qualified enough? Talk to us a little bit about what could have stopped you in your mindset to maybe not jump in and do it, because people are feeling a little hesitant now, and a little bit of fear as they're, trying to go towards their dreams.
I just wasn't sure that it would ever happen. I was crafting an audition reel from material that I had shot on my own, and I had a lot of hope. That's one of my favorite words, hope. I was full of hope, full of determination, but I didn't know. I didn't know what was waiting on the other side. And you're absolutely right. It starts as a whisper, and you hear that idea is often a whisper in your own mind. That's your calling. I should do this. And if you just let it sit and think about it for a few hours, for a few days, for a few weeks, if it's the right calling, it will not go away. It will grow louder and louder, and it will become all-consuming. Yeah, that's how you know it's your calling. But you have to listen to it. You have to acknowledge it, and you have to be open to thinking, maybe I should do this.
Absolutely. One thing I really love is I've been involved now with the Southeast Emmys and meeting, and like these last, it's been since 2008, I think, that I've been involved and going to our Emmys and meeting all the amazing journalists and newscasters. I find this community, tell me if I'm wrong. I don't know what it is about you guys that do this. You have such a great heart for mentorship. Every single one of you that I met, Karen Greer, the Monica Pearsons, and just Fred Blankenship, everyone around here, you're always giving back to the younger generation. You freely pour into, they come up to you like you're the movie stars, because you are, and they're trying to get wisdom from you. And you all just freely give that wisdom and knowledge. And that just warms my heart. You're so giving in this community. Do you find that as well?
I definitely find that in the journalism community. It's almost like we feel this deep debt to pay that back, because none of us get there on our own. It's all about mentorship. It's all about the people ahead of us that have taken a moment to do small, medium, and large things. Sometimes an encouraging word from someone like you just mentioned, Karen Greer, the magnificent Karen Greer, a small word of encouragement from her to someone who is at the very beginning of their career, or maybe even a student, that can be the thing that carries them through. And then also there are the large things too. You'd mentioned the Emmys, and a story that I love to tell is about who I like to refer to as my Emmy godmother, Miss Evelyn Mims. She is a longtime president of Natus Southeast, and she has been a significant force in my life and in shaping my career. She was one of those people who really contributed in a large way, and she may not have even known that at the time. She and I first met in 1998. I had seen a flyer on a bulletin board, and I don't mean like a bulletin board that you see online. I mean an actual bulletin board on the wall with thumbtacks at my school when I was going to college, and it was a sign saying enter to receive a Southeast Emmy scholarship, and I saw that Emmy statuette on the bulletin board. Of course, that caught my eye. And I was like, what is this? I didn't know that there was a chapter of the Emmy Awards in the Southeast in Atlanta. So I read the flyer. I wrote the essay. I sent my transcript. I applied for the scholarship. And, a few weeks later, I was fortunate enough to receive it. And part of that endeavor is you get to come to the Southeast Emmy Awards to soak it all in. And when I did, I remember so vividly my first time in that ballroom. It's the same ballroom at the Grand Hyatt where the Emmy Awards happen now, still to this day. And I saw all of those, shimmering statuettes, those Emmy Awards, and more importantly, I saw all of those journalists on stage accepting awards for stories that made a difference in their local communities. I saw the power of journalism and how it can change lives and change laws, or just give someone an amplified voice when otherwise they wouldn't be heard. And through all of that, when Evelyn Mims, president of the chapter at the time, presented the scholarship, she challenged me to come back and win an Emmy. And I truly felt that was like a responsibility. If you're given the scholarship, you don't say no to
Evelyn. You want to do it.
You don't say no. Like I truly felt like, okay, I have to do this. I took it very seriously. And I took it to heart. And I very fortunate, years later, there's the tally. There've been quite a few, but I have to say, and I think it's crucial to point this out. You said at the beginning that the count was something like 24 Emmy Awards. Well, I have not won many more than that. And there were so many years when I would put all of my hope into those submissions, thinking this is the story, if I could just win one. And I would enter and I would not win. I would not get a nomination. I wouldn't get a callback. It would be nothing. It would just go out into the world, and that would be the end of it. And that's part of the journey. In any career has ups and downs to that. And I think what's really crucial is to recognize that, recognize that, brace yourself. There will be ups, there will be downs. And when you're down, that's okay, because there's an up coming along on the ride too. You just have to hang in there and be relentlessly positive. Keep following your inner voice, listen to that calling, and stay on track.
Yeah, absolutely. I always like to say, fail forward to success. And if you don't try, you can't win. Kind of like the lottery. If you're not in, you can't win. And you have nothing to lose for trying. I try to really share that inspiration with everybody around me. What have you got to lose? Because you all in the journalist industry, when I was reading your accolades, Jeremy, because I know you, but we forget to kind of dig in and say, oh, I better look at his accolades and see, what his bios really is, because I wanted the listener viewers to know. And when I did that, I realized you really do, all of you journalists and TV news anchors, you change lives and you change laws. Can you tell me any kind of particular story that was close to your heart that really made a difference in changing laws? Because, you know, all the glitz and the glamour and all that is all fun. It's great. And it's wonderful to be awarded, as you all should be. Everybody should be awarded whatever career they're in, because it's so great to get a PhD, a master's degree, an award. That's wonderful. And then the real nuts and bolts I know everybody loves even more than that is when their career changes lives, and yours can change laws. Tell me about maybe some that have made a difference for you and for others in a significant way, because you really do change laws.
No, that is a great question, and you do that through great storytelling and by really focusing on the people affected by issues that matter. And when you ask me that question, I think of the investigation that my team in Atlanta put together called Charlie Foxtrot. And that focused on the lack of benefits for our veterans who served overseas. And a little backstory on that. I was part of a team called Atticus when I was working in Atlanta. And we were tasked with trying to tell stories in a way that truly connected with the modern viewer. So we really threw all the rules out the window, and we focused on investigations that can make a positive difference through exceptional storytelling that would reach viewers where they are, which, let's face it, is often on their phone, on their streaming service. And we created docuseries reports with a completely different format. They played more like Netflix than they did what people thought of as a TV investigation at the time. Our very first, they would be about half an hour, maybe. Some would be a little more, some would be a little less, and they would be in different episodes. So our very first attempt at this format was an investigation called The Triangle. And it was our great experiment. We hoped people would watch it. We put a lot of work, a lot of research, a lot of care into telling that story. We released it on a Thursday online, and by Monday morning, it had millions of views. It was just spreading and being watched and gaining all of these clicks. I tell you that, and you might be thinking, what does that have to do with Charlie Foxtrot and military veterans? Well, Charlie Foxtrot was our follow-up. That was our second release. And when that release came out on a Thursday, we were sitting, waiting on all those views to come in, waiting on the success. And what do you think happened?
Crickets.
Crickets. The clicks were not coming. They were not coming. So, we were thinking, but we put all of this research, we found, just the right people to focus. It's such an important issue. Why are people not watching? Well, the right people were watching. And because of that investigation, we were invited to share our findings at the United States Capitol for a bipartisan group of lawmakers. Clips were screened. We were part of an interview segment with some members of Congress. And within just a few weeks from that, the Fairness for Veterans Act passed, which helped move the needle in helping to get toward some of those services that our veterans deserve. So the impact was there, even if those millions of views were not. And I share that with you because it goes back to the highs and lows. And that was, we had a high with our first investigation. We were ready to ride that wave again, and it felt like a low when the views weren't there. But in the end, what matters are the results. And it's not always about how many people watch, but what it is always about in journalism is the impact and how you can help make life better for the people affected by the story.
You make a great point. So many times, even like in social media and in my world, we're coaching and we're coaching entrepreneurs. The social media, I think everybody's starting to get that memo now more than ever. It's not about the vanity followers or how many clicks or views, anything like that, as much as is what you said, the right people watching. We talk about that a lot. If you have 100 followers and they're the right followers and they love what you do, you solve the pain that they have and they engage and they comment and you're serving the serving them, that means more than having 1 million followers and they're all just scrolling and just kind of, they're not even engaging, but it's just like a number. So you really brought that point home. I'm glad you said that, because it matters when you're putting out work like that as well too. It wasn't just the big number, it was the right people watch, and look what you ended up in Washington. That is so cool, and I hope everybody's really hearing that, because we can't get caught up in the fanfare or the numbers, or not enough people see me, or not enough people are watching, or not people, are following me. And it's the right ones will. Were you working for a station, or was that independent? Because I want to give the viewers now some hope about some advice you would give them. But first, were you working for somebody else? Were you freelancing? Did you put that up on YouTube, or were you working at a station at the time?
I was working at 11 Alive at the time.
11 Alive.
In Atlanta. Yeah. That was in 2016. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So now for some advice to those watching, whether they're parents and they want to help encourage their kids, their teens, their little ones, saying, that's what I want to do. Give us some advice on what you would tell us if you're thinking about, I'm feeling the whisper, the call to be a journalist or a news anchor or even a cameraman, an editor. Talk to us a little bit about what that should look like and the advice you can give us from the ups and downs. What should they do first or avoid?
Well, first of all, I think the good news is, right now, I held it up before, I'll hold it up again, but thanks to these phones in our pocket, really anyone can get their start. If you do have someone in your life who is interested in being a journalist, no matter their age, this will connect. And it's also great for practice. The cameras on the iPhone are incredible. For not too much money, you can buy a nice microphone that helps with the sound quality, get a tripod, get a little stabilizer. I have one right here behind me, and all of a sudden, you have what you need to craft a report. So I think that it's easier than ever to get the practice in, as far as your camera skills. Learn everything. Learn how to certainly how to shoot, how to edit. Practice being yourself. If I could wave a magic wand and help every aspiring journalist really get 10 steps ahead quickly, what I would say is make sure you include yourself in your presentation. Often it's like fake it till you make it, and people will they'll start a reporting career mimicking what they think a reporter should be. And there's something to be said about faking it till you make it, but you should never leave yourself out of it. So, approach it with, how can I bring what is unique about me to this role? How can I be my authentic self for the camera, and focus on that. And read everything. Be as informed as you can be about ethical journalism. There's so many resources available to learn how to not only do things smartly, but also do things the ethical way that is respectful for not only the person you're interviewing, but the subject matter. There's a great responsibility of telling other people's stories, and that should be taken very seriously. But I'm a big fan of if you're hearing that calling, there's ways that you can get there. So that would be step one. And beyond that, look for a path to get involved. Natus is a great way to do that. You're an expert as a board member and one of the officers of the Southeast chapter. The Student Production Awards are a fantastic place to network and get to know some of the up and coming journalists and students who are taking part in that. So the avenues are there. You have to be relentlessly optimistic and accept that it's not going to always be a yes. And when it is a no, hang in there.
Yeah, no means next. It's okay. And the young people now, I think they really get it. They're creating content all the time. But if somebody's looking for, maybe they're they're thinking they're too old to get in this. Maybe they're thinking they're already 40. I mean, gosh knows I didn't even win my Emmy until I was 48. But I just always just keep going, just live fast, keep going, try everything. That's all good. But a lot of people might think that, well, I don't know how to use what you just said or how to start. Maybe they're the generation, my generation, that's saying, but I want to do something in journalism. But let's talk about, how do people now apply? Are they hiring? Is it something that the newsrooms, let's say somebody wants to get a job in a newsroom, do they already have to have a YouTube channel to show off their talents, or do they submit? Just real quick before we get into the wonderful book you wrote, we're going to talk about next, tell them what the step would be, or the platform now to get jobs in journalism in their local television stations or news stations.
Sure. Well, I think the path really is, if you can acquire an internship, which often to intern with the station, you often have to be in school. So if you're
Right.
not currently in school, that could knock some people out. But there's all sorts of different experiences, and that we are in the midst of what I think is a new golden age of television, because all of the rules are being rewritten with streaming services, with the way people are connecting through social media, and TV is still a big part of that, but it's just one part of that. So connect in any way that you can. Get creative in your storytelling and how you're representing yourself, and just take the risk. You will need to put a great sample together. If you could build a link, whether that's on YouTube, or if you could build your own website that shows some of your work. Put your best foot forward and ask questions. One of the fundamentals of being a great journalist is to be curious, to be inquisitive. So approach that with your own quest in how to start your career, and ask the people who know, like, hey, could you take a look at this? Could you give me some advice? Could I get some feedback? Could I send you a new link in a few weeks? And chances are you're going to find, as you said at the beginning of this interview, it is a culture of paying things forward, and of kind of, investing in the next generation of journalists. So don't be deterred if you feel that's your calling. Keep trying.
Absolutely. And what I love now is social media, because I just put up Jeremy's website. And if you're listening on a podcast, it's jeremycampbell.online. And if you want to see some great samples of what Jeremy's talking about, like putting reels together, he has a whole page of some of his samples and his reels. And you can look at those and emulate, see the style, see how things are done, and then look at other newscasters, how they do it. But jeremycampbell.online, look him up, follow him on social media, and follow your local newscasters and newsrooms. Engage with them, ask questions, be their biggest fans. I know nobody has ever been in a business too long where they don't enjoy great comments, great fan mail. Now fan mail, social media, they love hearing that you love the story that they did, or you're rooting them on, or that was a great piece. I'm a student, I would really love, I'm watching you, love some advice. You all are so approachable, and you talk to your fans, and I love that. So I really encourage people to follow you, follow their local newscasters and journalists, and not just the ones you see on the air, but go onto the website and see who else is out there. The on-site reporter, the ones that are doing the investigating reporting, that aren't the 2 or 3 news anchors you see at the different hours as well. Do you agree, Jeremy, on that?
Absolutely. I mean, you said it best.
It's so great that you're so proud. Back in my day, I mean, you didn't even know where to find, anybody that was on TV. It's like people used to get fan mail. I'm like, well, how do people know addresses to send fan mail? But now it's social media. So
there's so many ways to connect. It's true.
It really is. And you guys are so approachable. Appreciate that. Well, before I get to talking maybe about some of your best interviews, your worst, maybe some of your celebrity encounters, some things that were highs and lows, I want to take a pause and talk about, you have a book. So here you are, an investigative reporter, and you've written this beautiful book that's coming out, and you had me at animals, Jeremy. I don't even know if you know that, but oh my gosh, animals are my love and passion, and actually won my Emmy Award for Noah's Ark, where I was hugging animals and bears and lions and birds, and wow, I just can't wait to get your book because you wrote it, and because I love the premise of, and it's called Between the Causeways. Tell us a little bit about this wonderful project that you are getting ready for us to be able to have in our hands and read.
Well, it's definitely for and about animal lovers.
Yeah.
Between the Causeways it's a work of fiction, which was new for me as someone who's used to covering the real world. But Between the Causeways is inspired by a real life dog story. It's inspired by a true story.
I love that.
And, this is all coming full circle because it's inspired by and written at the request of my mom. I had mentioned earlier in the interview that when I was very young, my grandmother said, "You should be a reporter." Well, a few years ago, my mom said, "I want you to write a book about what happened to me between the Causeways." And this story is inspired by that. A few years ago, she was a part of a group of strangers who found themselves searching, trying to rescue a little dog on the side of the road in a small southern town. And for a full year, she was stopping every day, side of the road, trying to rescue this little dog. And over the course of that year, she discovered she was not the only one. And the book really, adds a lot of imagination to that premise. And it's about what happens when three strangers become friends, all connected to the attempt to make life better for a little lost dog on the side of the road. And the takeaway is something I think all animal lovers can agree, which is a dog can change everything. And in this book, it certainly does. So if I can't wait for you to read it and share your review and let me know what you think. It comes out in just a few weeks. It's up for pre-order now.
I've already pre-ordered mine. Y'all can go to jeremycampbell.online and pre-order it. Jeremy, you're a wonderful writer too. I cannot wait. And I was so excited that you did this. And I don't know if anybody else is hearing this from Jeremy. Jeremy, you're such a wise man because you listen to the women in your life. Do you realize that? The first one was your grandmother. The next one was Evelyn Mims. And the next one you're telling us now it's your mom.
I clearly take instruction very well.
You do. Somebody out there, listen to your moms and your grandmas and the smart women in your life. How smart is that? Well, it's so exciting. When you decided you wanted to write that book, though, Jeremy, there's a lot of people out there. I work with a lot of, especially women that say, "Oh my gosh, I'd love to write a book. I have this idea, or I really want to get my story out there." What was the first thing you had to do to get that book, make it put into fruition? Because people don't have time. I mean, how do you, kind of say, "I'm going to do this"?
For months and months, I thought about it and had the intention to do it before I actually put words to the page. And I think you just have to take small bites, like just knock away at it as you can. I remember when I had written the first 1,000 words, I was like, I've written 1,000 words. And then, months later, I think I hit 10,000 words and I was like, I've written 10,000 words and 1,000 didn't seem like so many. And somewhere along the line, I got to about 53,000 words and I was just sort of like, wow, this really happened sentence by sentence, drop by drop. And, for me, it was a story that I wanted to tell. I had that calling again, that passion and that whisper. And it helped that it was inspired by, someone who means so much to me. I really wanted to get the book across the finish line, but it took a while to get there. It definitely took a while to get there. I mean, depending what you count, from idea to completion, it was, probably 1.5 years. But I think that's misleading because a lot of that is just, like, I need to start writing that book.
Well, a lot of people, they're going on 5 years because they spent the first 3.5. I really need to write that book. And you really have to work on, like you said, carving out those little pieces of your day and make it consistent. Like maybe it's late at night when I was writing my books and different chapters of people's books as well. It was like, at 11 o'clock at night and I had to schedule it in. So I knew that I needed to schedule in that time when everything was calm, 11 o'clock, a few days a week to write for an hour, 2 hours. And before you know, you might be writing 5 hours, but it's really important to eat that elephant one bite at a time, but you got to start, you got to take that first bite. And then whether it happens in 1.5 years or 5 years, it won't happen unless you start. And it will happen if you just don't quit and keep it up. And it doesn't matter.
Absolutely.
So 1.5 years, that's not bad at all. I thought you were going to say a lot longer. So good for you. And I want an autographed copy. I'm just saying. So I bought
absolutely for you, anything.
Yeah, oh, you're so sweet. Well, you've got to come back here and you got to sign it off in person. Or I got to come up to my hometown in New York and get you to sign it because I love signed books because I really appreciate the stories that are told. And this one sounds amazing because dog is God spelled backwards for a reason. Dogs do so much for our lives. So this sounds like something right up my alley. All right, Jeremy, as we close up and start talking about a few fun things, kind of my rapid fire part of the show, I want to know some things that our viewers are going to be, kind of light up to hear about. What was your worst interview ever, or the worst story you just ever told that was like, oh, that was just, whether it was bad in quality, maybe your first one, or just the person maybe, oh, that was just really a tough one, because I want to give people hope like you love to do as well.
One of the worst things that could happen on an interview is called the double punch. That's when you hit record and you think you've hit it once, but you hit it twice. And there has been a time when I was thinking I would hit record and I punched it twice and I got back to edit that story and the interview is not there. And the interview is over and everyone's gone their separate way. You don't do that often because it's so painful. You learn the lesson and you learn to watch that counter on the screen. But it's a mistake that is often made early in careers. So I think that's about the worst thing that could happen.
I'm glad you shared because I want everybody to know that you're not alone. Back when I first started my podcast, I didn't realize my microphone wasn't on and I didn't do it.
Oh my gosh.
My favorite. And so I did the whole interview and the girl, she was from Nickelodeon and everything was great. And this little sucker didn't even work. I'm like, and it never happened again because you do that test every single time.
Yep. It will teach you quick. It's a painful but useful lesson.
It really is. It really is. All right, what was your favorite interview? Did you have a favorite, maybe a celebrity or a favorite interview you did that really, made a difference? It was just fun to do.
Oh my gosh. I mean, there have been so many. I'll just give you some rapid fire things that come to mind because I've been very fortunate. Early in my career, I hosted a music show. We interviewed bands and got to interview Cyndi Lauper and Liz Phair and the Cardigans and go to a lot of shows. So that was so fun. When I was working in Tampa, part of my job there was to tell just like entertaining, feature stories. I got to walk on fire. I got to go down inside a sinkhole that was had been transformed into this, this Florida lake where people would scuba dive. I got to ride a jetpack in the Gulf where water would shoot out of the jetpack, and I would go up about 8 feet in the air and then crash into the sea. So I got to have a lot of fun. So all of that comes to mind, but clearly what's the most worthwhile are the investigative pieces that, that have really given a voice to someone who otherwise wouldn't have that voice. Is amplified voices when you can spotlight an issue and also spotlight a solution that can help a community come together and do something about a problem. Those are the stories that mean the absolute most. But these examples show the beauty of what we do. Is it's just like life. There's the good, there's the bad, there's the incredible, and there's the stuff that just makes you laugh.
There's plenty of that for sure. Jeremy, I love bringing you on and the newscasters that are in my life that I really just admire y'all so much. And I want anybody that can hear our voices to know, I don't want to say journalists, but the paparazzi, the interviewers can get such a bad rap that, oh my gosh, they won an interview. And you think of it like all these movies and TV shows make it like a bad thing. You're slamming the door on the newscasters. You're slamming the door on the journalists. And you all really mean to do not harm. You do good. You're the good guys. My daughter and I, Angel, we always talk about if somebody messes us over, we get bad service and somebody's, scamming somebody, we're going to call Karen Greer. We're going to call our newscaster. It's like the news is on your side. And we love that because nobody can do it better than your local newscasters. Your local investigative reporter are there to help the community, not hurt it, not get the gotchas and go to people and get the gotcha stories. It's a completely different world of journalists. So I want people to embrace their local news. I want them to embrace their local newscasters and really know they're there to help you and get to know them and get to know them on social media because you all do so much good. So this is the time I'll just give you the airwaves to let you know that you're here and people need to know you because you're just so amazing, everything that you do. You all make the world and the communities a better place, and you work hard at it and you sacrifice a lot. You travel, you pick up and move, you go out, wind or storm or rain, just like those postmen do, and you're out there getting those stories and you're getting the truth. And that's what I love about you guys as well. So that's on that note.
Thank you for sharing that. Journalists are living and working in local communities. They're neighbors, they're their parents, they're active in their communities, and
the good guys.
And the driving force is to use that platform to make the world and the community just a little better place through accurate information.
And so many times I'll watch the news because I'm a news junkie. I just love y'all. You're like, oh, there's people but I love that the ones that are on your side and they do those investigative reporters, a community or a townhome or apartment, the leaks and the landlords aren't helping, and nothing can be done about it until you call the news, and the journalist comes out there and they get things done. And because the media has power, don't underestimate the power of a news story to tell something that's wrong with what's happening in your community, something that's unjust. I mean, even look at like the Aaron Brockoviches and the ones change the water in your town, or something that's really not supposed to be happening. You can get slam doors on all the corporations, but you get the news on your side and you tell them the story, mountains move and doors open. So thank you for all that you all do as you represent.
And that's why we need that next generation, no matter the age, the next class of journalists to come in and join that crusade.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What's the best part of your job?
I think the best part is truly having the ability to tell a story, to spotlight, the good, the bad. I like to tell people that journalists are there on the best day of someone's life, and sometimes it's the worst day of someone's life. But they're really there to get the story right. We're there to help shine that spotlight, for the greater good. And I think if there's one lesson that has held true from all of the stories, good and bad, that I've seen covered over the years, it's that sometimes the worst things to ever happen lead to the best. I've seen this play out in so many stories I've told as a reporter, in so many stories I've watched as a manager. Everything from the person who loses everything but turns around to become an advocate and helps other people who never go down that path because of what they speak up to do. Or once I covered the story of a man who didn't have a home, but he did have one friend who was a stray dog. He lost that stray dog, and it actually led to him being reunited with his family and getting him into a home. And guess what? After that story aired, they found that dog. So the list could go on and on and on, but sometimes the worst things that ever happen lead to the best. I'm a big believer of that. It's a theme in life. It's a theme that you'll see on the news, and it's also a theme in my book, Between the Causeways.
Yeah, it is. Get your book at jeremycampbell.online. It's almost ready to come out. Jeremy, you've done so much. You've accomplished such great accolades and told those stories. You've worked your way up from your grandmother saying you should do this all the way up to where you are now. What is next for Jeremy Campbell? And if you say Disney World, no. What's next? What's the big dream now? Because I'm a big believer, you got to keep on having bigger dreams, more dreams, and never stop moving forward, or we just die.
Well, no, I have been very fortunate, and I'm in a wonderful environment right now where I get to not only be a part of covering news, but also a part of shaping the next class of journalists. And I hope someone out there watching is hearing that whisper. I'm speaking to you out there who is thinking maybe you should be a journalist. Yes, you should. And come back and win an Emmy and say that you heard it on Aurea's podcast, that yes, you should move forward and do this. So, that's what it's about for me at this point, is just giving back. That word hope that you used at the very beginning that I love so much. We all depend on that. And that's what my passion is now, is just making sure that our communities have strong journalists to cover the incredible stories and the important issues, and that our journalists are supported and they have the environment to really do their best work.
Oh gosh, amen to all that, Jeremy. Thank you so much. I know we've been giving your website, jeremycampbell.online, but feel free, if I want people to really know who you are, follow you. Everybody knows how to Google somebody nowadays, and you're on Instagram, you're on Facebook. But if you'd like to tell the station that you're at and let people know that you're in New York now, what stations they can watch and follow you and engage with you, because you're so approachable and they might really something resonate with them from tonight's episode. And if they want to reach out to you, watch you on television, watch you on the news, where can that be, or see your stories?
Well, I am not on TV these days. I'm behind the scenes, but I'm at New York One. And anyone who wants to connect, you can go to my website, send me an email, or connect on social media. My Instagram is Jeremy Campbell TV, or on Twitter, this is JDC. Love to hear from you.
I love that. And he really means it. So if this has resonated with you in any way, whether you want it for yourself or you want it for your kids, that they're dreaming about this and being in the trenches of being a journalist, all the good, the bad, the everything about it to make a difference in the world, reach out to Jeremy. He was such a great mentor, such great advice, and he will engage. Jeremy, thank you so much for being with us here tonight. I know there's greater things even in store for you as you keep telling amazing stories and changing lives. In my hometown of New York City, we want you back to Atlanta, but that's another show.
Thank you for the time. It flew by, and it was great seeing you. It's great speaking to you.
Thank you, Jeremy, so much. We will see you soon for Get Celebritized, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this episode and it did give you hope that your dreams can come true and nothing is too big for you to dream about, hope about, and work hard for. Because you know my mantra for Get Celebritized is earn more so you can live more so you can give back more. With that, I'm Aurea McGarry. Good night for now for Get Celebritized. See you next time. There's always hope. Bye for now.